Mic check. Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the current affairs for today, 14th of April 2022. Welcome all the participants here. Good to see all of you write some answers here. Babani, Netra, Kriti, welcome. Ashish, you too. Hello and welcome to Sam, Vivek, welcome back. And all the people watching offline and later, welcome to all of you. Let's begin this. Today is 14th of April, not 13th of April, and today is the day of Bihu, Baisakh, the festival that we celebrate for harvest of the winter crops. So happy harvesting season to all of you. Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want, and therefore one must remember of what actions we commit ourselves to. Every day the action that we commit is what we propose for ourselves for the future. Therefore every day, towards the end of the day, one must note what was the time spent in all the actions that we did throughout the day. If we could spend some productive hours, that would be advisable, that would be suggested for the next day as well, right? So today is the opportunity for building the tomorrow that we want. If you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments and shares. Let's begin this discussion. What do we have in today's discussion? We will have a quick discussion on 2+2, something about solar power target which you are going to miss, coal power shortage, cardless cash withdrawals, all right, good initiatives by the government here, intellectual property right in song, some dispute about it, Helina, Megalith jars, parboiled rice and prosthetics. This is about the case study from IIT Madras. So let's get going. Okay, the first one is a quick update on the 2+2 summit that was held between India and USA. So I went through the complete press, the media conversations that all the four ministers were a part of. And one question was posed upon the Indians, that was that there is a concern on energy imports that India is now looking at from Russia. And that's where our external affairs minister responded by saying that it would be great to look at the energy concerns, energy imports for Europe. For what India imports for a month, Europe imports in one afternoon. This was his reply. Now this is where we indicate towards India's stand, astute diplomacy, strategic ambiguity, and this is where India is able to respond in situations like this. Meeting conducted in USA and responding so strongly about objections against India, this is a great achievement. And the second one is on human rights issues. Human rights issues were not spoken of. However, there was another press conference in which our external affairs minister rightly mentioned that in case other people are interested about human rights issues in our country, in India, we are also concerned and we are also looking at human rights abuses in USA, especially against Indians. So these are strong responses from a country like India. This very well indicates that India is slowly gaining stance, slowly and steadily gaining some momentum in international rapport formation with the countries, right? So great achievement. This is an update on 2+2. This is how we gain perspectives about things, not siding with Russia. The Bucha killings massacre is at its own place, but then making our stand clear that we are a nation which has got its sovereignty intact, which knows what are its prime requirements and what are its interests. Moving ahead to the first update that's also a part of the Gazette is on solar power. India had vouched in the Panchamrit that we would achieve 500 gigawatt of clean energy by the year 2030, but looks like we are going to miss not only 2030 targets, but reverse engineering, we are going to miss 2022 targets also. The prime place that we are going to miss our targets at are the solar energy, and in solar energy we know there are two kinds of solar energy that we speak of. One is the grid installed utility scale solar energy, and the other one is solar rooftop. We are going to miss the solar rooftop capacity. India had promised that by the end of 2022, we would have 60 gigawatt of the utility scale and 40 gigawatt of the individual grid connected solar connections, the solar potential. But then we are, as of now, able to install only 55 gigawatt out of the total 100 that were proposed. But yes, 2022 is not gone. By the year ends, we would be able to install almost all the chunk, but we would be falling short of around 25 gigawatt shortage, and that would be in solar rooftop itself. So The utility scale, that means commercial level, that will be not a shortfall, very, very minor, 1.5 gigawatt shortfall, but major shortfall will be there regarding the solar rooftop, right? And this will also get translated further in up to 2030. And by 2030, while India has proposed to have 300 gigawatt out of the total 500 proposed for clean energy, we would be falling short by around 80 plus gigawatt. This is the prediction for future. So we had done one update on this, but then updating you again that this is the issue. And I had also asked a question right now, what is the reason for this shortfall? When we are able to do it at commercial scale, why not at the level of grid connected or individual house top micro level of solar grid projects? So let's understand some of the issues here. See, there are some challenges in policies and restrictions, right? Regulatory roadblocks. Let us understand some of them, right? First of all, net metering norms are restrictive. The norms where the person who is able to not only consume but also produce it and sell it, those norms are restrictive in the country as of now. It is not as favorable to sell it even when we are consumers, right? We produce the electricity and when we sell it right off, that is the gross metering norms, and we produce it, we consume a little and then we sell off. This is the net metering norm that I'm speaking of, but then they are not as favorable, the policies are not favorable as of now. The other is having customs duty for all the imported items that include the cells and modules. We are not able to produce them, and we have the dual basic customs duty here. This is the second objection here. The third is there are only few people or few suppliers from where we can import these products or purchase these products. There's a list of models and manufacturers that can be used. So this is another regulatory hurdle. And then we have unsigned power purchase agreements with companies. Unsigned agreements. For example, there are unsigned agreements with NTPC, unsigned agreements with state power producing companies that you got to produce these many gigawatt of energy from us. Unsaid. So we are not promoting what is called as renewable purchase obligation. We are not promoting it. We will have to obligate it amongst companies that they start purchasing the renewable powers also. And if they do not, they will be fined. So there is a shortcoming of renewable power purchase obligations, right? Government says they are giving banking credit. There are restrictions on that as well. Look at the number of points that are available here. Now we are talking at retail level, no? Retail level banking restrictions are there. A lot of hurdles are there, regulatory hurdles. So these are the financing issues that I'm speaking of. And then there is open access approval grants. See what happens. This is a point of concern as well. I must explain this part. Open access approval grant primarily means that if a person wants to purchase power and that is above a certain limit, right? And so a huge quantity, say 1 megawatt has to be 1 megawatt and above has to be taken in, right? And this is where they have to seek for grant when they want to access it openly, and these grants are getting rejected for those persons who are asking for purchase from the solar rooftop. So when this is the cause of concern, then one must look at the aims, objective, policy implications of this, right? There is already a setup, right? And we are procuring power in that setup, and now we want a disruption. Disruption needs are required at various levels. One of the levels is also a mindset, and also not rejecting these open access approvals, right? And of course, the pricing of solar power. We had studied this in one of the editorials, that the pricing of solar power is differentiated. It must have dual power policy for pricing itself. One is standard and the other one which should be dependent on the kind of energy it is able to continuously impart, right? Just like coal as well. So these are the complete issues. What is, however, somehow working is the tariff. The tariff has been drastically reduced in time. That is absolutely true. And the second thing that is working well decently is the plug and play facility. A lot of infrastructure is already laid out. All people got to do is start performing and installing these devices, right? So these are some major shortcomings, because shortcomings are going to get asked, and the exact opposite of will be the solutions. All right. So this is the first update. Second update, again from the energy sector, the coal shortage, which is going to continue in the country. This is a proof the coal shortage will happen, And this is a proof. The images here are going to be a proof for you. I hope that you are able to see what I am showing here. Some of the images. The coal power demand is only rising right now. This is financial year 2023 that we are speaking of. By the end of it, there will be a lot of rise in power demand. What are the reasons? One reason is the climate change. Summer peak demand is higher than the last year. COVID, which people say has subsided. We know that it has resurged just lately in the last 2 days, but then largely which has subsided after 3 waves of pandemic. Now the country is seeming boom in economy, and therefore there will be huge demand in power sector and electricity sector as well. So coal demand is going to have an upsurge, and the supply is limited. Like, not only that supply is limited, but also the whole supply chain has bottlenecks. The coal power producing companies, they are not keeping a bare minimum stock. What indicates what? Let me say that. Have a look. This is the percentage of the stock that has optimally been required to be kept. This is the bar of 100%. And the power generating companies have kept a stock below that mark on all the years, barring 2 years, barring 2016 and 20, they have kept their stock below that mark. And this stock right now is available only for 9 days spare coal stock. Even despite Coal India mentioning that you must prepare yourself for having some coal stock for reserve times, but they haven't done it. So this is facing another hurdle. Now, noteworthy to mention is that in India, 75% of the power generation happens through coal power itself. Not only this, the impact of this is being felt in many states. Andhra, Maharashtra, Haryana, many states have already seen major power cuts, and this is not only for retailers, this is also for industrialists. So Kia Motors, Pfizer in Andhra Pradesh are facing power cuts. Maharashtra is facing power cuts and says it will start importing coal from abroad. Oh, bhai, you could have used this coal also, provided we had this, some stocks left out. So this is the inventory that we are seeing at 9 years low right now. Complete supply chain mismanagement. Power cuts are high demand is there. The supply with respect to demand, that is falling short. Supply is falling short with respect to the demand. Mandated stock people haven't kept. So these are the issues. Abhi to there is no international power crisis, but then India has internal crisis as well related to power. We had covered this back in the month of, I think, December or November as a featured news. However, a quick update again, because this year again we'll see a shortage, right? 75% of power output is directly through coal. Not only that, temperatures are soaring, economic activity is booming. Post-COVID, we see huge resurgence in demand of coal. See, India is destined to become a global power, no? So when we say $5 trillion of economy, and when Mr. Jaishankar is speaking so much while in America, how much power, where does this power come from? This power comes from the might of the people, the human resources that we have, the technological potential that we have, the kinds of dreams we want to fulfill. So the kinds of dreams that we have will get fulfilled provided we have energy. We are energy hungry, and post-COVID we will see high demands. This is how we will be able to raise our exports also, right? So not only demand is going to rise, but the Coal India has also slashed the power, the coal that it provides to non-power sectors. What happens to aluminum smelters? They use a lot of coal power. The iron processing industry, all of them use power, but then it has to provide power primarily to the coal sectors which generate power. So these are the issues. The growth in coal power and renewable power generation, that is also not optimal. The light color indicates the growth in renewable power, this one. And coal power generation growth rate, it was low earlier, but now it has picked up. Coal India has also said that they will be increasing the coal supplies by 5% lately, right? So have a look. Coal production hits record high. Coal production is also high, right? But then stocks are low. Kya loch hai? Right? I hope I have been able to explain this. Production and offtake. Production means the total coal produced that particular year, and offtake means the supply of coal. See, if we have produced X quantity, the supply could be different. The supply could be more than that. Why? Because little amount of coal would be lying at the at the site also, na? At the coal seams. So production and offtake are two different things, but largely it's very similar. All right. A couple of more updates. Government has collected more than the amount that it had proposed to collect for asset monetization. Remember, 6 lakh crore of asset monetization we had planned, and amidst that, government had planned around 88,000 crore. Yes, 88,000 crore it had planned for monetization for this particular year, and it has monetized 96,000 crore. Congratulations to the government. Major ways in which it has monetized are highways and power sector, coal mining and minerals mining, right? This is what it has been able to monetize all this amount. Okay, they will be able to fund many infrastructure projects through this. All right. The next update is on cardless cash withdrawals. Do you remember the times when our parents have been insisting on us checking the ATM machine once, right? So that it doesn't contain those not required kind of devices which completely capture our data, our card data. So there could be photograph enabled capturing devices. There are other devices which are called as card skimmers, and through that they not only skim through the data which is written, but they also skim through the black strip and they understand the digital transactions. Further, the card can be cloned. These are the issues with ATM cards, and therefore now RBI has come up with a new technology which says they will be making cardless cash withdrawals available for all ATMs throughout the country. Let's just hold on to for me to explain this. Now onwards, you will not need card. All you will need is your mobile phone, which will have UPI in itself in your mobile phone, and you will just go to an ATM machine, say you want to withdraw some amount, and there will be a QR code generated, quick response code. You got to scan that code with your UPI app and then enter the code on the authorize the transaction and enter the code on the machine, and that's how you will be able to receive money. So this is a very good technology which is going to help us make our transaction more secure and get away from people who can steal data, card data, right? Because a lot of the card data, the debit card and credit card data is very valuable, right, for individuals. So this is one benefit of it. However, the issue here is the scalability of operations. Right now, this is operating only at few ATM portals, only with some certain banks. But now RBI mandating this must be done for all the banks, all the places. Scalability is an issue. Not only that, certain more issues are, for example, right now there is a upper limit on how much one can withdraw. And also, since this is a high-end service, therefore the bank companies are also charging per transaction fees. So will people be using it? That is a question. But then yes, cardless cash withdrawals have come up in the country. This next update is on intellectual property rights in songs. This gentleman, Ilya Raja, he had produced some music back in the 80s and he had sold the rights to a company called as Inreco. This production company had sold it, and they claim to be the first owners according to the Patent Act of the country. Now he has gone to the court, Madras High Court, and he has said, I have been not only the composer of the song, I have also been the lyricist, and therefore I must own certain rights over the song. This is where the court clarified some content which was also in sync with the Copyright Act. The court says that when this gentleman has been the composer of the song, when this gentleman has been the lyricist of the song, this is one entity. On the other hand, producer is another entity. So composer is another entity, lyricist is another entity, and producer is another entity. As far as selling the rights of the song for a movie is concerned, for a cinema is concerned, producer can also have their own rights, but only for that particular movie. If the movie is playing that particular song, the producer owns all the rights. It has been given to the producer. But in case the song is not playing in the cinema hall, it is being used for promotion, it is being used for playing in other places like restaurants or selling online on Spotify, then the producer also, then the composer also, or the lyricist also could get their royalty. That's what the court has said. So a composer of music work is an author, the lyricist is an author, and the producer also is an author, right? So all three are author in different ways. All of them can register their copyright, right? So the producer is the author in case it is being displayed in the movie, only in the movie. and the other places the lyricist and the composer also get their own rights. All right, so this is the update here. Okay, what is the next one? Helina, helicopter driven Nag. That's what is the full form. Helina, helicopter driven Nag. What is Nag? Nag is the anti-tank guided missile. Now, if you remember, we had spoken about the advanced light helicopter that India has produced, no? So this is ALH, and we are filing a Helina from this helicopter. All indigenously produced technology. Imagine, are we going to achieve what we had thought of, $5 billion of export? Let me explain a little and you will understand if we are maybe through some these kind of technology or not. So first of all, this is infrared driven, right? So it has got many technologies, fire and forget, infrared driven. This is one. The second one, it has got direct and top attack mode. What is a direct mode of attack? Direct mode means if there is a target right here, anti-tank. So if there is a tank right here, there will be direct firing and then it will chase away the infrared and then it will attack. This is the direct mode. And the other mode is top attack mode, in which the missile will go top in the air and then directly hit it. So this is the top attack mode, where possibly there will be a lot of thrust generated in the missile, right? So this is going to help a lot of devastation in the tanks, right? So top mode and the direct mode. Now DRDO has produced quite a few versions of Nag. This is the third variant and they have successfully tested it. This is world's one of the most advanced anti-tank guided missile. The range is 7 kilometers. So possibly a good missile that we are going to produce. So Nag is one version, Helena is another version, man-portable anti-tank guided missile, another version. We had covered all these three terms. Stunt is another one. Laser guided anti-tank guided missile for Arjun as well, main battle tank. This can be also installed in and on a tank, right? So these are the various versions that India has created for Army, Air Force. So good effort. People might be interested because when Helena, when this, see, eventual result is the missile itself. If the missile is good, it can be mounted on all the devices. BrahMos as well. It can be mounted on aircrafts, mounted on land devices, mounted on a naval device as well. Ancient megalith jars. Another update. This is from Assam. These ancient megalith jars were found way back in the early 20th century. But similar megalith jars have also been found at some specific place in the Southeast Asia. Therefore, and these have not been found at anywhere else. So possibly finding a linkage between both the places. They are supposed to exist for have existed for at least 2,000 years. 2,000 years, possibly for storing memorials or some entities, right? So research still going on to understand what has been the linkage between these two cultures, Southeast Asia and India, and specific places in India in Northeast and Southeast Asia, right? So written text not being formed, but then this is how historian works, finding out the linkages and creating a history, backcharting what happened during those times. Parboiled rice, again in news. This has been in news for quite a while now. Parboiled rice is a kind of rice, a version of rice in which the rice is boiled a little before it is put down in the market. So first of all, soaked a little, right, along with its husk, boiled and then dried and then sold in the market. Now this is one kind of rice which Telangana produces. All right. Although Telangana people do not consume this rice, but they produce it. It is because these rice are procured and eaten in some specific states. Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, etc. These are the states which possibly want to eat this kind of rice. But then why it is in news is because procurement through the government, the procurement that happens by the central government, FCI procurement, is not happening for the parboiled rice that Telangana is producing. Telangana does not consume this rice, other states do, and FCI is not procuring this rice. It had procured this rice last year as a special consideration, but it had asked the state government to withdraw from promoting the parboiled rice. It is because the states which were actually consuming this version of rice, they have met their production demands through cultivation, through themselves handling this kind of parboiled rice. So therefore demand has reduced, and therefore the central government says we will not procure it. This is where now Telangana says we will be procuring the rice for now. See, Telangana is one of the places which was a part of Green Revolution 1, and they also have been beneficiaries of the procurement policies of the government. So since forever they have been producing rice and entities like that, and now there is a sudden change. So there is a political upheaval because of this. Parboiled rice. All right, the last one for today is an interesting update. This is the prosthetics. This is prosthetics means artificial limbs, anything that can aid a person to move. Prosthetics. So even a spectacle is a prosthetic, right? Additional entity which is aiding a human. So this has been created by IIT Madras, completely indigenous technology, and this prosthetics is polycentric prosthetic knee called as Kadam. They have created it. The best part about this knee is that if a person who is differently able, doesn't have all the bones in place, and they want to use this prosthetics, they can use it, and this provides greater flexibility at knee joint, greater flexibility, 160-degree of movement. So even in case the person is sitting at compact spaces, buses, etc., the person, and see, have a look, the person is right now, here in this image it is very clearly visible, the person is on a cross trainer, in fact cycling machine, and they will still be able to use it, and they wouldn't face any difficulty at their hips, right, at their pelvic region. So it is because this machine has multiple axes of rotation. What a great creativity this is. This is what we need. We need creativity, scientific temperament. We need such kind of devices so that there can be a market for this. If there is a market, there will be higher demand. If this is so, then people will be able to satiate the needs of themselves and the society. Thus, India will be able to prosper itself, right? So this is where we come to the conclusion of the current affairs discussion. And yes, there were a couple of questions. I want to prepare a couple of videos on those. One is on recall period, the other one is on container crisis, and the third one I was asked revenue capital receipts. And I definitely share an update on each of these and then get going. There are a couple of editorials that we have shared today. One is on diabetes, yes, and there's another one. But then both of them form very relevant editorials for today, carefully selected for today. So do watch both of them, and if you like this initiative, shower some love through likes, comments and shares. Let me look at the comments. Sure, it looks good. Thank you. So Ashish says, will the FTA with Australia help in solving coal shortages? Absolutely, it will. Australia is one of the countries which has got huge raw material supply, and China not exceeding the supply from Australia, withholding the coal from Australia, and Australia having high degree of bituminous and anthracite coal. That's where India will come in. And where does India import a large grade of the high grade coal from? It imports from Australia itself, Indonesia, Australia. In fact, the Southeast Asian economies also import from Australia itself. When we had spoken about the FTAs, India-Australia relationship, I had clearly shown that most 8 out of 10 relationships that Australia has, maximum exporting, they are the neighboring countries. So that is why India-Australia trade deal will definitely help India procure more coal from Australia. Also, one important valuable point is that the coal for power can be low-grade coal also, but coal required for iron ore or iron cleaning processes or smelting processes, we need high-grade coal for that, and we import it from Australia itself. All right. So if you like this initiative, shower some love, and then there are questions, please put them down in the comment section. We will get back to you. And all the people who are putting this effort, this is a great achievement. Just that you need to keep practicing this, and you will see this is the way you will be able to write in your examination as well. So worry not, keep on performing every day, day in, day out, and 365 days, and you see the 366th day, it will be all yours. The day will be yours. Thank you for participating. Let's meet quickly in the feature news for today, which is on a very important debate on Facebook and its policies on algorithm. Thank you everybody for watching.